Welcome to TellerTalk, the podcast
You.
made by storytellers for story lovers. I'm Zosima Granger, a young author who will hopefully one day become an old author. And on today's episode, I'm joined by M.I. McAllister, the author of more than 20 books, including A Friend for Rachel and the Mistmantle Chronicles, a series of fantasy novels about an island of talking animals protected by a wall of mist and filled with unforgettable adventures. The long-awaited sixth novel in the Mistmantle Chronicles, Tales of Mistmantle, will be published on October 1st by Purple House Publishing. I was allowed to read an early copy, so I can tell you that old fans of the series, like me, will find it a treasure trove of familiar characters going on new exploits, old mysteries explained, Mistmantle's history revealed, and first-time readers will desperately want to read the first five Mistmantle books so they can experience the full magic of this series. M.I. McAllister, a native of the United Kingdom, lives in Northumberland near Hadrian's Wall, which she tells me is full of lovely people and sheep. Northumberland, not Hadrian's Wall.
Okay.
Uh, her favorite animal is a red squirrel, which will be obvious if you've read Mistmantle. And she has done me the great courtesy of joining me to speak about Tales of Mistmantle, the stories she loves, and more. Thank you for being on Teller Talk, Margie. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, we this is our first face-to-face meeting, but we've corresponded for what, almost a decade now?
Yeah, yes, books. Yeah,
Yeah, it's been quite a while. And do I call you Margie or Margie?
Margie.
Margie. There we go.
Margie. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
wanted to make that. Um, Well, Mari, the Tales of Mistmantle, as I said, will be published on October 1st. Um, and it really is a gold mine for fans of Mistmantle, and I think it'll make newcomers want to read the whole
Hope
series.
so.
What I wanted to know was, will this be the final outing for Urchin of the Riding Stars and the island of Mistmantle?
As far as I know, yes. But then I said that after book five.
Yeah, so
And there was a lot of, please, can you tell us more about this, that, and the other. I had come a long way from it. I'd left it behind and written other things. I didn't want Miss Mantle to get to the point where I kept writing the same story.
mm,
So I felt it was time to round it off. Um, so at the minute, I think that's the last one. I mean, never, but unless something remarkable happens that makes me write another one, then I think this is it.
oh, so this is going to be a kind of a bittersweet book because yeah, I could just keep reading them because you really you've never, none of the Miss Mental books was ever like a copy and pasted version of the book before. There was always something new,
Oh,
always.
I'm very glad.
Always new. And in this book, in Tales of Mistmantle, there's stuff that's never ever happened in Mistmantle. There's a shark. There's stuff that I was not expecting at all, and it was just fantastic to come back to the world of Mistmantle, but to see all these new things. It was great. Yeah. Uh,
It was a chance to go to a lot of old things as well, because when you build a world, you're building a mythology and a culture which is referred to but not always unfolded. So it gave me the chance to develop things that I'd put in the earlier books.
yeah. Yeah, one of the best parts of the books were those series of like ancient Mistmantle legends that had been yeah, as you said, hinted at in and kind of mentioned in the books, but they'd never actually been written down. But
I
now,
was able to develop those. And people sometimes email me and ask me about the threadings code. Threadings are Mistmantle animals don't write things down, but they have embroidered panels that tell them all about stories. And there is a code, much as there is in English medieval art, there is a code that tells you what things mean. And every now and then, readers would write to me and say, "What does this, that, or the other mean?" And I think, I don't know, go and look it up, because it is all written down. But
Mhm.
I didn't like Urchin. I found it difficult to remember it all. So
Yeah.
I was able to put the complete threadings code in at last.
Yeah, that was a great thing to be able to look through, and I'm glad I have an early copy of the book because I definitely cannot remember all of the threadings code even when it's
Okay.
in front of me. It's like, oh, geez, there's so much of this. Uh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I. uh, in Tales of Mistmantle, when it's published, what part of the book are you most excited for readers to experience when it's out?
Oh, that's difficult. Because Core has a whole new quest, and
Yeah.
I found it quite exciting to do a snowy landscape. I have to be careful here not to put spoilers in, but it
Yeah.
gave me the chance to do a snowy landscape. Um, and one thing that I really loved doing was unfolding Fur's backstory. Fur was the readers will know uh, the old priest who is not deliberately based on somebody I knew, but that kind of happens sometimes.
Hmm.
And reference had been made to his past because when he's now, how can I put this without spoilers? At a crucial point in his journey, I mentioned somebody called Lynette.
Hmm.
And I deliberately don't tell you then who Lynette is or was. But I was able in this book to go back and unwrap the story of Brother Fur and Lynette. And if anybody reads that and it makes you go, "Ooh," I think when I was writing, I don't always know what influences me, but if you feel touched by Fur and Lynette's story, look up the story of the Eyam Plague, that's EYAM, in Derbyshire in the 1660s. And there's a story that happened in this little village that was fighting off the plague that is actually very much like Fur and Lynette. But I can't, that sounds terribly mysterious, but I can't say much at the minute because I don't want to put spoilers in.
Mm. Well, yeah, that was probably um, the most emotionally touching part of the book was to see Fur's backstory because Brother Fur is such a crucial part of the books, especially in the first few books, and his past is a mystery, and he's crippled. You don't know why, but you're always kind of wondering, and to see that told to us at last was yeah. Don't want to spoil anything, but
Yeah.
you got
I had to tie off that loose end.
yeah. And I'm really glad you did because yeah. Um, speaking of loose ends, the last Mistmantle book, Urchin and the Rage Tide, was published in 2010. Uh, so what was it like to return to the world of Mistmantle, to bright tales of Mistmantle like 15 years later?
It was very exciting to be given the opportunity. But when I started writing it, as you know, the island is protected by mist, and not people can find their way through the mist. and I couldn't find my way through the mist. I'd been away too long, and
Mhm.
it took patience, and it took a few attempts, and it took a bit of talking to the animals before I felt that I was right back. I'm there, I'm home, I'm on the island, and I know where I am, and here are my friends. So, and that is that's fanciful, but that's exactly what it was like, having to find my way back to the island.
Mhm.
And of course, they'd moved on.
I guess, yeah. But the island was still there. I think I think it was Stephen King who talked about the stories you the stories you write. He described them as found objects, where it's like
Mm.
there's a and it's kind of like Mistmantle is this real place um, that um, that isn't in our world, but it's in its own world, and it takes quite a journey to be able to get there,
Mm.
especially if you've been
Yeah.
gone for a decade and a half, but with patience and I guess maybe a voyager, you can make it back to the
A
um,
lot of help from Core, yes.
a little help from core. Uh, uh, I've coming up to this interview, I've been going back through all the books and rereading them, which has been an absolute joy. And in the foreword to the new edition of Urchin and the Heartstone, you talk about the first draft of that book being written longhand. And
Oh, yeah.
and I was wondering, do you write all of your books first drafts
Yeah.
longhand?
Yes, I do. Um, Maybe it's a generation thing because I'm ancient, but there's something to do with the brain to the, if I've got one, the brain to the pen, the brain to the hand that works. Um, and I do it quite quickly because I use all sorts of abbreviations and nobody else will be able to make sense of it. Partly the handwriting and partly because I'll just put little squiggles so I know what I mean. Pardon me. And, uh, and then it goes onto the keyboard and I will adjust it as I go along. And then it goes away when I've got um, that draft on the machine. I go away and forget about it for at least a week, preferably two. And then I can be detached about it, reread it, give it a good sorting out, and then do the third draft. And the third draft probably won't be right, but it'll be pretty much getting there. As I know you've discovered yourself, writing is rewriting.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can make all the mistakes you like on your handwritten draft because it's just your starting point.
yeah. So is that your writing process for every book you've written, where you write the first draft longhand and then you put a draft onto the computer and then you give it like a couple weeks of space and then you come back to it to
That's what I always do. If I'm on a tight deadline, I can't always leave it as long as I would like to. But that, yeah, first draft. And then I can, if I need to put a whole new scene in, I can do that on the computer. But
Mhm.
I have to do it by hand first. And articles and other things that I write still have to do it that way first. I think I'm just a slow learner and I'm stuck in the 1960s or something, but that's how I have to do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think, well, when I first started writing stories when I think I was 8, I did it all longhand, uh, and I figured out that being left-handed, I was always smudging ink. So I was like, there's got to be a less messy way to do this, and then my dad introduced me to the concept of a laptop, And I was like, this I think works a lot better for me. But the first story I ever remember writing, which was a blatant ripoff of Sherlock Holmes, it was Sherlock Holmes, but it but animals.
Brilliant.
Yes, it was about a detective named Scruff Jones who was an otter, and it was never finished. I think it was at the longest 3 pages, but that's a very clear memory of the first time I ever put my stories down on paper, terribly misspelled and
Yes.
hardly legible, but
I love the concept.
yeah,
I love the concept.
yeah.
If I'd been your teacher, I would have set some more for me.
Well, yeah, it's still up here somewhere. So maybe after I finish the novel I'm working on, I can go all the way back to the beginning and find out how Scruff Jones's story ends. Yeah. Oh, speaking of the beginning, I've always wanted to ask you what was the first character or idea or spark that came to you that started the world of Mistmantle in your mind?
But it kind of evolved. Um, I'd written 4 mainstream novels and a lot of shorter books to go into schools, and I was a bit stuck what to do next. I only had one idea in my head, and it was about an island, and somebody had been exiled for a crime he didn't commit. And then the island needed him back, but he couldn't come back. There was some sort of enchantment that stopped him coming back. So that was the starting point. And also at that point, I thought, I've worked without an agent this long, it's time I had an agent. So I approached Caroline Sheldon and we met. And she said, because my first book, Fed for Rachel, had talking mice in it. And she didn't like you talking animals. And I thought, I've done history, I've done ghosties, I've done this, that, and the other, and she wants more talking animals. And I didn't think I could do a talking animal story because I grew up in Narnia, and Narnia is the best. And I just thought, I am not worthy to do this.
Uh-huh.
But I was trying to develop this, and Caroline put up, and she just wanted more talking animals. And finally, I said, well, my favourite animal is the red squirrel. And she said, perfect. So I thought, I can combine Caroline Wants Animals with My Secret Island. And that day I got the train home from London, New York, and started sketching it all out. And I knew I had a squirrel called Crispin. It's always a good sign when a character brings a name with them. So I had a little plan with Crispin written in the middle. And it evolved from there because I had red squirrels, and then I had to think, is it only red squirrels or do we have other animals on that island? And should we have otters? And then I saw an otter in the wild, so I thought that's fine, I need to have otters. And it evolved from there. And everything that I couldn't do when I was to write it as a story with people, suddenly if it was animals, I could do it. And it was having animals in there that brought it to life. And I didn't know I could do that. And the personalities and the dialogue and the settings, they all worked out when it was animals. And I don't know how that works, but it did.
Yeah, just unlocked it for you to have
Absolutely did. Otherwise, it would never have come into being at all.
yeah, I can't imagine Mistmantle being about humans.
No, it wouldn't work.
it has to be, yeah, it has to be about the animals. The growing up, the three book series about talking animals that I loved most were Chronicles of Narnia, because I think probably possibly my favorite book of all time is the Horse and His Boy.
Love that.
Uh, and uh, and the second and third series were the Redwall books by Brian Jakes and the Mistmantle Chronicles. Uh, and I had um, and I had read the well, actually the Redwall books were one of the first books I ever uh, remember hearing, because my parents would read them to me as a child growing up, and I was wondering, because the Redwall books have a bunch of otters and squirrels and hedgehogs in them, just like Mistmantle, and I wondered, have you ever heard of or read the Redwall books?
Long before I did Mistmantle, my youngest son was reading them, and he went through everything Redwall, um, and he would sometimes quote little bits to me. So
Yeah,
I did one or two. Now the thing with Redwall, they sort of operate at a different level from Mistmantle, um, but they are big stories. They have a quest,
yeah,
um, and this I wanted Mistmantle to be big stories. I didn't want it to be another fluffy bunny story. So I thought big themes, Shakespeare. Now where Brian Jakes was coming from, but he has big themes about leadership and about conflict in his books. Shakespeare. So um, with the first one, there's a little bit of Macbeth in there,
yeah.
and the big themes, the fall of a leader and so on, and treachery. And I think for a big story, you mustn't be afraid of big themes. And Brian Jakes did that well. He did big themes.
Yeah, he um, the the Redwall books also had a theme of faith in them that
Yes.
is actually quite rare in fantasy books, which I feel like is a missed opportunity, because the heart of the Mistmantle Chronicles is the heart. It like
It's
like
yeah.
the it's the source of all life, the protecting power of Mistmantle, and it's a very real guiding light for the animals of your world. But um, Orson Scott Card, he said that no fictional world can be believable if its inhabitants don't worship something. Though the majority of fantasy series that I've read do exactly that. There's absolutely no God or even any kind of deity. Um, so what made you decide to have the heart and its faith be such an important part of these books?
Because that is my world. I never set out to write a book about faith. I never set out to write an allegory or anything of that kind. I just set out to tell a good story. But the story will always reflect the author. So my values and the way I think and the way I see the world around me meant that they had to have a sense of God. And the idea, because the heart is the center, and without it we die, and we think of it as the center of love, and in some sense the center of truth. So they concept of God is not, and the heart can be broken. And I thought, yes, that works as well. That the heart can be broken, but it goes on wounding. So you've got the concept of God who can be wounded, um, and I feel that in the nicest possible way, they take faith for granted. It just is. They don't go into great debates about the heart and how it works and whether it's there. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the island of Mistmantle is this ideal place, protected by the heart. And though many of the books are about like calamities that are making it very difficult to live on Mistmantle, they're always working on getting back towards as close to worldly perfection as you can get on this island. And it's and it was really great to read in Tales of Mistmantle about like the origin of the world, which is how the book begins. I won't spoil anything else, but it's a great beginning to the book to see where how it all started. Um, yeah. Uh, oh, I wanted to talk about well, I think my favorite moments from the entire Mistmantle Chronicles include the defeat of Captain Husk,
Mm.
one of the best villains from my childhood. The stopping of the ravens in Urchin and the Raven War, which still makes me laugh, and possibly the best line from the entire series, which was when a near comatose urchin calls
Yes.
Apple's famous cordial vile, and Apple turns to Captain Crispin and says, "Vial, that's a fancy word for bottle, right?"
Yes.
And
Vital, yes.
yeah, vial,
Yes.
yeah, that's a fancy word. But now that I've read Tales, my favorite moment may just be Fingal yelling "Squid" from the distance, which uh, was totally unexpected, but also just the perfect ending to that story. Uh,
Finger likes playing with words. I like playing with words. Well, Finger likes playing with anything.
yeah, he will. Yeah, yeah, everything and anything he seems to want to play with. Do as the author of all this, do you have certain moments from the Chronicles that you particularly loved writing?
I have a Fingal moment too, and it's in the Heartstone. Um, when a lot of animals are debating the fact that Crispin is single, and we really need somebody for him.
Hmm.
And Apple, who was this large rotund uh, squirrel who was Urchin's mother, says, "Oh, if I were a bit younger, I'd have a go myself." And Fingal finds this so funny, he's not going to laugh in front of her, so he goes straight underwater, and the bubbles come up. And I
Uh-huh.
love the idea of laughing underwater. So I'm fond of that.
Uh-huh.
In the Japanese edition, there's a lovely of an otter laughing underwater and the bubbles coming up. Um,
Yeah.
and at the end of that book, again, can't put a spoiler in, but Padra notices that Crispin is talking to somebody and he will just not let anybody go near him for the moment. Just let them have their time to. But
Hmm.
Finger always picks things up. If things weren't going well in any area of my life, I could write a Fingal scene. I knew that was going to be fun.
Hmm.
And Little Hope as well. I'm very fond of Hope.
Yeah, a little short-sighted hope.
Little short-sighted hedgehog, yes.
Yeah, toddling around. Uh, you mentioned the Japanese edition. So were there different illustrations in different editions based on like what part of the book
Yes.
they're.
I don't know how many are still in print, but it went into about, was it 10 different languages? And some of them used the original illustrations, and some of them commissioned their own. And I really like the
Hmm. Yeah.
Japanese. The new ones have all got a new artist, haven't they? And they've all it's all new artwork
Mhm.
in the new
Yeah.
editions, which
Yeah.
was so much fun to do.
Yeah. I have one of the old the
That's
original
yes.
editions. And yeah, this was the first one that that I ever read. I think I first discovered Mistmantle when I was, I think, 13. Yeah, 12 or 13. And most of them had come out by then. I think the only one that hadn't, well, I think the Urchin and the Raven War and the Rage Tide were about to come out. So I had because I blazed through Urchin of the Riding Stars, Urchin and the Heartstone, and Heir of Mistmantle pretty quickly, and thankfully the next few books came out pretty quickly. Because did you write one every year for a while?
The first three were, and then there was a bit of a, yeah, I think there was a bit of a gap in the Rage Tide. Sorry, the Raven War, which was number four, and the Rage Tide, which was the fifth, but also due to things at the publishers, which I can't really go into, uh, Rage Tide was put off for a time. So it was already written and delivered, but it just took a little while before it came out. So it was done, but we were dying to know what happened next. Did have a long wait for it.
Yeah, yeah. It was a um, yeah. It was great to hear that um, that there was a book six coming, but Urchin and the Rage Tide was a very good ending to this.
I rounded it off. Yes,
Yeah, it didn't leave it on a huge cliffhanger. It had.
it had to be
Yeah,
where I could leave it and not come
yeah,
back to it.
yeah. But it's great that you did come back to it, because yeah, this new book is pretty great. Speaking of books, um, what are what are some of the books that you read that made you want to write books?
Uh, when I was seven, a teacher read us The Witch and the Wardrobe, and that was it. I lived in Narnia. The next 4 years, I just lived in Narnia.
Mhm.
Uh, what else? Lucy Boston. I don't know if she's read much in the States, but Lucy Boston,
Lucy.
who lived in an old manor house and wrote stories that were set in it. And I had the great privilege of visiting Lucy Boston's house a couple of years ago. Loved her books. They're mostly historical and set in her manor house. Uh, Rosemary Sutcliffe, I love history. Rosemary Sutcliffe did it better than anyone ever. Um, and I came late to The Wind in the Willows. I kind of knew a lot of the stories because it's so much out there in the general consciousness. But I think I was 16 when I sat down and worked my way through it and I cried. And, if that's anything other than Narnia drew me into anthropomorphic animals, it would be The Wind in the Willows.
Yeah, I can still. I forget when I read The Wind and the Willows, but it's been a long time since I read it. But I still remember one of the lines, because it's such a fantastic um, line where it's when Toad is in prison and and like there's a maid who's trying to help him
Oh yes,
who's
the
yeah who's trying
Willows. Yeah.
to escape and she tells him, Toad, I have an aunt who is a washerwoman, and Toad says, that's all right, I have many aunts who should be washerwomen.
He thinks he's being so clever.
Yeah, and I thought, first of all, that's perfect, but you missed the entire point of that.
At this point, yes.
Yeah. Just by being Mr. Toad. I mean,
That's all he sees. It's interesting actually with series like books like The Wind in the Willows and series like Winnie the Pooh. The characters are so well created that you can people and think, oh, she's just being Eeyore today, or she does that. Yeah, she does that. She's rabbit, and that's why she does that. And
mhm.
and, and I don't know if that's Mr. Toad. You can recognize the types.
Oh yeah, yeah. A friend of mine, one of his favorite books is The Wind and the Willows because of the final scene when the toad kind of reconquers his house from the vermin.
The
And
Weasel, yeah.
yeah, and there's that is it a poem or a song? It's like the called The Toad Came
The
and
Turn of the Toad,
and
yes.
Toad Came Home. Yeah.
And
And
yes,
yeah,
he
and
still hasn't got himself.
yeah. And it's yeah, it's I'm not sure when that book was written, but it's probably what almost 100 years old by now. And
A little more. I think it was. I'm pretty certain it was pre-First War.
wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's I mean that's one of the yeah, those kind of stories like like Wind and the Willows and Chronicles of Narnia. I think um the the Chronicles of Narnia were published probably in the 50s and
yeah,
maybe early 60s, and they're still so widely
they
read
last. They
to,
last.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they're I have I have a pet theory about children's fiction where I think that there's a big difference between children's books and kids books. Like to me, I define kids books as like one-dimensional stories with colorful
Mm,
illustrations meant to entertain and possibly educate kids, like things like Dr. Seuss and
mm,
the Magic Treehouse and Clifford the Big Red Dog. But but to me, children's books are books are books made for children that they still enjoy and maybe enjoy more as adults due to the story's deeper narratives and meanings. And those books are like Chronicles of Narnia, Harry Potter, and the Chronicles of Mistmantle because I loved Mistmantle as a child, and I'm 25 now, and I think I like them more now because I can understand like more of what you put into it, and I can um, because I've lived longer, I can kind of put more of myself into it and see more of
yeah.
like um,
Yeah.
the the life and understanding that it embodies.
There's so much wisdom in there. Um, I think it's a mark of a good children's book and that you can read it as an adult and not feel that you're being talked down to.
Yeah.
It still speaks to you. Um, and something on the news that my husband and I were talking last night. And I said, oh yes, you mix a little bit of truth with the lie and it makes the stronger. That's Narnia. That's from the battle
Right.
when the, oh, what do they call them? The Clawmans are lying to the people of Narnia and they mix a little bit of truth with the lie and it
Mm.
makes the lie more plausible.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the horse and his boy. There's a line there where he says, Shasta had not yet learned that your reward for doing a difficult and dangerous task is to be given a more difficult and dangerous. And
Yeah.
when I first read that, I didn't want that to be true, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not preachy. He doesn't seem to be given moral lessons. He just slips that in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the many reasons Horse and His Boy is my favorite is because the entire book takes place inside the world of Narnia, and so um,
Yes.
to me
There's no, yeah,
it brings you deeper into the reality of
it's
this
immediate,
of
isn't it?
this other world than any other book. And it doesn't hurt that the two protagonists, Bree and Shasta, are, in my opinion, the best fantasy duo uh, ever with their because it's I could well I quite literally did um, record myself gushing about the Horse and His Boy for like an hour. So I could go on, but yeah, suffice it to say, I agree that yeah, those books have so much to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. I come back time and time again to them.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you have any favorite fictional characters that you would like to somehow meet?
Well, now then, Elizabeth Bennet. Everybody wants to meet Elizabeth
Of
Bennet.
course.
And we'd probably sit and drink coffee and people watch and laugh a lot. Aunt Betsy Trotwood
Betsy Trotwood?
and David Copperfield. Aunt Betsy, very down to earth, strong woman who takes over. She's a woman after my own heart.
Hmm.
Um, I just love to go to Narnia. I mean, any of them. I sit down with any of those characters and have a little chat with them. Oh, and Sam Gamgee. I mean, if it was at Aragorn, I'd be overwhelmed. But Sam Gamgee, down probably do some nice, wholesome home cooking, and I'd end up with one of the children on that, and we talk gardening. And Elizabeth, have you come across Elizabeth Googe?
Elizabeth Googe?
She's a bit rarefied, but she was writing a lot of fiction in the 40s and 50s. And though she doesn't do fantasy, she makes the real world magical. She writes a lot about cathedral cities. As a rather shy old watchmaker in one of her books, Isaac Body, I would quite like to sit and sip tea with Isaac Peabody.
Isaac Peabody. That would be an amazing dinner party
Oh, wouldn't it?
To have Sam Gamgee, Aragorn, someone from Narnia, Elizabeth Bennet. That man, I want to.
Yeah.
If you ever do have that dinner party, please, I will fly to
You're
Northumberland.
invited. You're invited wherever it is. It might be up somewhere, but wherever it is, we'll have a few squirrels along as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and if we can get Bree to come,
Oh, yes.
have a large enough room with a horse trough with
And
some
they'll have perfect manners. So,
yeah, have
yeah,
a
they'll
nose bag of sugar for
be
him.
good to go. We'd have Quinn as well.
Of course. Yeah, of
He's
course.
coming. Quinn should come.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a I have always wanted to meet Edmund, um, um,
Yes.
because he always felt I felt well him and I always felt a kindred spirit for him and for Eustace, which might mean I have some personality problems I need to deal with. But I always love stories about characters who are jerks, who are able to change themselves and become better.
And they have the capacity to change.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's um and Eustace was very fun to despise him in the first
Mhm.
half of Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but it was even better to see him transform into the dragon, and then he was going to that pool with Aslan and literally like clawing off his
The
imperfection.
dragon skin, all the layers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was a baptism. It wasn't especially
yeah,
subtle that
yeah,
that he that Aslan, one of the less subtle Christ figures in fiction,
yeah.
was um, that was yeah was baptizing him. So yeah, I would absolutely love to um, have a coffee with Eustace and King Edmund.
And one of the heartbreaking things in Narnia is in the last battle, the dwarves that can't change.
Ye-
They can't, even though the beauty of what Aslan is doing is all around them, condition themselves so much that they can't see it.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, because they try to eat the wonderful feast that Aslan
Yeah,
has created, and all they can taste are the rotten
oh,
apples
there's
in
still
the
cabbage,
uh,
yeah, the
in
donkey's door.
the in that old barn. Where it's like, yeah, when you like you can blind yourself to everything
And
that's
you do,
that's
and you do,
to everything that's good.
you
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
But there's hope.
yeah. There is hope. The last battle was um, it's probably my least favorite of the Narnia books,
I,
except for the ending, because the ending made the book, most of which is pretty miserable. Like it's a hard book to get through because Narnia is just falling apart and
yeah,
everything is going wrong. But the ending was this triumphant wonder. But man, that first three-quarters of the book was tough to get through.
yeah. You read that you're used to reading, everything's going to turn out all right.
Mhm.
And it just, I can remember reading it for the first time, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And it has to be that bad to be that good at the end.
Yeah.
It's gone beyond all that human strength can do,
Mm.
and then it's transformed. So which is just, it's like the Aslan, how bad can it be? And it can still be transformed.
Hmm. Yeah. So
I mean,
we had well, one of the best lines in fiction was the further up and further
further, I mean, yeah.
in that final chapter. Um, yeah.
By the way, on that subject, Roald Dahl says somewhere that C.S. Lewis has no jokes in his books.
You
And
what?
my friend and I used to fall over each other laughing about planting Uncle Andrew in The Magician's Nephew.
Uh-huh.
Animals find Uncle Andrew and they're not sure what he is, so they try planting him. And then they think it must be an animal because it makes noises.
Yeah, and the bulldog comes up to him and asks him, "Sir, are you animal, vegetable, or mineral?" And um, yeah, I'm not sure. I've never heard anyone say that there weren't any jokes in Narnia the because well the horse and his boy is one of the funniest books
And he's, oh,
I've
yes,
I've ever read because every every conversation between the horse and his boy
yes,
is usually Bree just talking down to Shasta,
yes,
making jokes, and yeah, so yeah, I have no idea who could ever think
yes.
that C.S. Lewis doesn't put jokes in books because
Now there's somebody I would love to have to a dinner, but we'll invite to the dinner party as well. We'll invite C.S. Lewis to the dinner party. Yeah.
oh yes, man, yeah, if I could talk to any authors now past, it would probably be yeah, C.S. Lewis would be at the top of would be at the top of that list for sure. Um, and oh, Margie, in the past, you have given me great advice from an experienced author to one just starting out. In fact, yeah, that was how we first met. Was me emailing you
In
saying,
front
"Hey,
of me.
can you?" Well, I think the first email I ever sent you was purely just a fan mail. Uh, email. But then after after I had written my first book, I was like, man, I know this author. I should ask her if she can give me some advice. And you did. And I still laugh when I remember your notes on my word choice describing snow in Quintessence, which
Lessons.
which I believe your exact words were, "Oh, please, not pristine." Uh, and I thought,
Oh,
fair enough. That's incredibly overused description of snow. I can't fault that. Uh, so yeah, you are you are very good at giving advice to other authors. What I wondered is, what advice would you give to young writers who may be watching now?
thing is keep reading. Read widely, read everything. Keep reading. If something is really good, what's so good about it? If you think it's bad, don't stick with it, but think what's wrong with it. Read widely and just write and keep writing. Don't spend too much time thinking, oh, I haven't got this bit of the plot worked out. Um, I very often don't see plot twists until I fall over them. I think I know where I'm going. I don't. I know where I'm starting from. If your first draft isn't very good, and it's the first draft, it probably won't be. Something to work on. So just write it, write it, write it. Get it down. Then when you've done that, you've got something to work on. Read it out loud is always a very good idea. Read it slowly, revise it, until it's tight, until it's vivid, until it's moving on all the time. Every scene has to work its place. But just write something. Just get down. Was it Dorothy Parker? Somebody said it's the art of applying the seat of the trousers to the seat of the chair. No, you sit down, you apply yourself, and you write it. I've got something to work on. But just go for it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Don't
I
listen to bossy people like me.
what?
Don't listen to bossy people like me. Just write it the way you want to write it. But don't say that snow is pretty. There's a very good exercise that a writing tutor once gave me to do. Um, you have to write something about autumn or fall in America, but you have a list of words that you can't use. So things like gold, golden leaves, orange, brown, falling. And the more she read out this, she thought, oh, what am I going to do? I got like this. But it does make you really, really look at it and think, how can I make it vivid and not use any of the obvious words?
Yeah,
So it's a fun exercise.
yeah, that sounds like a very difficult
It
but
really is.
but
Look,
but fun exercise. Because yeah, because when you well, I've I've read books where they use words that I would never have imagined could work to describe this situation, but those are the descriptions that I still remember. Like I was reading a translation of the Iliad, and um, some translators had described this one scene which had um, Aeneas's men draw their swords. They just wrote it as they all drew their swords.
oh,
But the one that I remember was the translator who described it as a black harvest of naked steel. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is the most terrifying description of swords being drawn I will ever read. And I think I read it a decade ago. It's still clear as day in my head because um, I would have never thought to ever describe it like that. So it just became so real in my head.
now there's a phrase that writers are telling each other and reminding each other. You've probably heard it before. Show, don't tell.
Hmm.
So you don't tell somebody they drew their swords. You what you were talking about. You see the swords. You might hear the swords being swished out of the scabbards, but yes. So that description you just told me was showing.
Yeah.
Right, they drew their swords is telling.
Yeah. It's like you've read it 1,000 times before and you just can't. So you're too bored to imagine it. But then when you get something new and
And it's
kind of
vivid.
crazy, it is very vivid. Um,
I've just been writing a scene now about a boy watching a building burn down, and I've been rereading it and reading it aloud and thinking, what does it sound like? What does it smell like? Well, he'd have smoke in his eyes. What would that do? It'd make his eyes sting. You have to make it alive.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think it was Mark Twain who said that the difference between the perfect word and the almost perfect word is the difference between getting struck by lightning and getting struck by a lightning bug. Like,
I hadn't heard that before. That's very good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's because like when I've definitely had that experience usually in rewriting when
Mm.
when I see a sentence and it's like it's kind of it's okay, it's fine, it works. But then I'm like, what if I change that word and then it just explodes into
Yeah.
into something that's um, completely different with just
Yeah.
the slight changing of one word. It's like just like one number
Yeah.
wrong in an
And
algorithm.
it's like tuning a dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the process of doing that?
Yes, sometimes it makes me feel like I'm going crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
but but I haven't found anything I enjoy more
Yeah.
than creating a story and honing it and because it feels it um, it doesn't feel like it's coming from me. It feels like it's coming through me
Yeah.
from something more from something greater, like the infinite, God, whatever you want to call it. Um, because I think and um, yeah, so I do enjoy the process more than anything else in my life. That's why I've wanted to be an author since I was 8.
Yeah,
I've always known that um, creating stories was was what I maybe was meant to do, but definitely what I want to do for yeah for the rest
works.
of my life. Um, yeah, I think the the first story I ever wrote was probably around age 8. Do you remember when you first started writing and what your first story was?
I decided when I was 10 that I was going to write a book. I had no idea where it was going. I stuck with it for a long time, but basically it was based on me and my friends, but but we had amazing sense of freedom, and we all had ponies, and we were off having adventures and things. There was no continuity in it at all. It was just one to another. But I had fun with it, and I thought, oh, I'm enjoying this. So, and then I tried to a kind of Ruritanian thing with a refugee princess and all sorts. And as I didn't know anything about being princess or being a refugee, I don't think it was terribly convincing. But I was at the stage where I had to write, I was happy, had to write something. And there's that blank paper thing. You know, some people, it's a blank sheet of paper, they have to draw something. If I have a blank sheet of paper, I have to write something.
Mhm. Well, like you seem to have a much more free way of writing because I still find like writing stories is what I enjoy most, but it's never come easy to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I always find it very difficult to sit down and concentrate on writing. Um, and I don't think that's bad because it's never painful. It's just it takes effort to to clear my mind and concentrate on the page. And uh, and often when I start to write, it gets like easier and easier as my I don't know my writing muscles start to warm up. But yeah, it's never come easy to me. Um, but I feel like that's one of the reasons I love it is the things that I've gotten the most satisfaction out of my life have been the things that have been really, really hard to do,
Yeah.
and the things that I feel like I wasn't able to do, but I still did them, and like I think I I recently realized that like the easier your life gets, the harder it gets. Like
Yeah.
it's like my life is so much better when it's hard. And it's quite a lot worse when I have when I have like no responsibilities and
Yeah. Yeah.
no difficulties because there's really no
Yeah.
meaning
What
when
do I do now?
when it's easy. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. I still have times when I think I need to write and maybe it's a bit challenging, I'm not sure where it's going. And suddenly I absolutely need to go out and do a bit of gardening or rearrange a bookshelf or go and call on somebody. And then finally, quite late, it's a good thing I'm a night owl, quite late in the day, I will think, get down to it, no more excuses, right. And half an hour I am in the zone
mhm,
until they're other side of midnight. Once I've got started,
mhm.
it just takes that sit down, take distractions, you know, get on with it. Um, lot to be said for going on a writing retreat. So there's no distractions. But once I'm in the zone, I have to keep going. But all writers say that. All writers say they suddenly polish their shoes or something rather than sit down and write.
Yeah.
So I forget who it was, but a writer saying, writing is agony, writing is torture. And I thought, do it then. You feel badly about it. But yeah, everything worth having has an element of struggle in it.
Hmm.
But you've got to write it, you've got to write it. Like an addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, I only have one more question that I wanted to ask you, and it's about Mistmantle, bringing it back to the start of the conversation, and I was wondering, who is your absolute favorite character in Mistmantle, and or can you not choose? Is it like choosing your favorite child?
It is like choosing my favourite child. Um, Obviously, I've got a special place in my heart for Urchin because he's been there from the beginning. Fingal makes stuff, so does Hope. I'm very fond of them. They're very special to me. Padra, I didn't realise while I was writing him that also somebody that I knew. Um, so yes, Fingal, Padra, and Little Hope, but I don't tell them. There's a rather brotherly man that I used to know who was a monk and he tended the monastery garden. And I asked him once if he had a favourite plant there, and he said, I do not have a favourite, and if I did, I would not tell them, especially in front of the others. So I can't, in case they're listening.
Yes, yeah, we'll have to keep stum. Though as a reader, I can say that Captain Padra is my favorite
Oh,
uh,
good.
character. Him, well, yeah, him and Fingal and um, well, yeah, I guess I have a thing for the otters because yeah, Fingal, Padra, Aaron, Mistress Tay, all those like even though Mistress Tay is a complete
Yes.
is a pedantic bore, she's still great.
He's still not a.
Yeah, yeah, she's still an otter, and of the squirrels, I have a massive soft spot for Apple and Sepia too.
I became. See, she was kind of brought in because rather as Hope was, I need some there. I didn't already have a plot line worked out with those animals. It was a case of, well, I need a little animal in the nursery. I need one who can fulfill this role in the concert. And they became absolute linchpins of the stories. And that's where the story takes over. And surprisingly, I suddenly think, oh, that little hedgehog, I can put him there. And sepia, I can make more of sepia.
Mhm.
That's when it takes its own.
Yeah, because Sepia, she just like over the course of the series, she becomes more and more and more important.
That's more of a role.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah,
We won't let them have the secrets, will we?
I won't spoil. And for those watching who haven't read the books, but read the books so you can
No, please do. Yes, read books.
so we can talk about it with you. Well, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the pot of the episode. But Margie, thank you so much for joining me today because it was an absolute wonder to be able to finally meet you at least face to face and talk to you voice to voice for the first time. Just thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for inviting me. I've really, really enjoyed this and so good to see you at last.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It was my absolute pleasure. And I will be publishing this on October 1st. So
Oh,
to
there, launch day.
yeah, so to those watching, you can go right now and click the link
Should I just wave
and
a copy of the book at the
yeah,
screen?
uh,
Put the right way up.
yeah, and get your own copy of
Heir
Tales
of
of
Mistmantle.
Mistmantle. Book 6, which you are going to absolutely love as I did. I'll hopefully see you sometime in the future in person.
I hope so.
Maybe when I have a book tour that takes me around the world someday.
Oh, come to
Um,
Northumberland. Yes,
yeah,
come and have a look at the book.
I will definitely be coming to
You see,
Northumberland. Yeah. All right, Margie. I will, talk to you hopefully soon and have a wonderful day. See
we'll
you later.
catch up. You too. Yes, bye.